Are your karmic debts linked to your destiny? Well, in a way, they are. Now, what is a karmic debt? A karmic debt is essentially, well, look at it this way. You have karmic tendencies inside of yourself, don't you? And they seem to play themselves out in a cyclical nature. Now, we could consider this a debt. What does this really mean? Well, if you start seeing the same types of people coming into your life again and again and again, or the same types of tendencies arising inside of yourself, then you clearly have to pay that karma off, isn't it? Now, there are a few different yogic practices that we use in order to help ourselves do that. One is called Pratipaksha Bhavana. Pratipaksha means opposite, Bhavana means thought, but really it's a little bit deeper than that, and we're not going to go into this one today. But you may come up against a karmic debt in your path, and I've not met anybody that hasn't had to pay some kind of karma off. And I genuinely mean that. It's probably likely that for most of us that don't have that sheer desire and discipline to go all of the way in this life, it's probably quite likely that we have enough karmic debt inside of our system to keep us earthbound probably for at least a few more lifetimes. So let's dive into the idea of karma. What does karma really mean? Now, there's this very oversimplified variation of karma, isn't there? And it means what goes around comes around. But in the yogic tradition, we look at karma just a little bit differently. That is the basis of it. But karma actually means action. So my actions. Now, there are 4 types of actions essentially that you can express in your life, and I'll go through them now from the level of most dense to least dense. The first one is physical action. That one is the most dense, isn't it? The second one is mental action, so thought. So these karmic tendencies that arise in the variations of thoughts. There's emotional action, so we begin to recognize these repeated karmic cycles inside of ourselves. And then also the most subtle of all of them is energetic. This is why the energy is considered the root of our karma, in a sense, and it's also the root of your beingness. If you're ever asked to settle yourself into presence or come into your beingness or enter dynamic stillness, for example, in this sense, this is why they're doing that, to begin to make you realize this is the root of your consciousness, and everything breeds outwards from there. And so we have to create this interesting switch, don't we, from an outside in approach to an inside out approach, to be able to clear our karma from the inside rather than taking physical actions to try and change our karma, because that only deals with one karmic action, which is physical, and it's the most dense anyway. So we have to look inside and then change the world pranically inside, and then that will push out these karmic tendencies that are no longer serving us. So this is essentially karma. Karma is action. Action always has a consequence. Science tells us this, doesn't it? Science tells us that every action has an equal and opposite reaction. Now, the consequences of our actions are not always temporal, are they? They're not always instant. As soon as I create an action, I don't instantly get the consequence. Sometimes these are extended in time, and so this is important to note too. Why do we want to rid our karmic tendencies? Well, the reason is because this journey is about becoming a lot more conscious inside of ourselves. Now, we have a few different karmic tendencies that are really quite obvious, aren't they, inside of ourselves? Perhaps there are lots of these repeating thought patterns that we have, or repeated actions that we do, repeated emotions also. But in a sense, some of them are also quite quiet, they're quite silent. Now, we only have to deal with what we can deal with in a moment, and that's fine. But we might begin to notice the subtler karmas in our system once we've ground out the denser karmas. And so this really is a lifelong karmic journey to become more and more conscious, so that we can become more aware of that which is in my system that's creating karma, which is creating consequences yet to be harvested. Now, it's said in the yogic tradition that karma is some damn sticky stuff, and that's the thing that carries through our lives' experiences, be that this life or be that in a next life. It will be the tendencies that create or find a new womb for you, so that you can be born into in your next life. It's all conjecture from our standpoint, because, well, we've never died. But to have this basis of understanding is important for where we're about to go next. So you can approach your spiritual journey in 3 ways. The first way is essentially by doing exactly what you're doing now. That's a perfectly reasonable way to go about this karmic journey. By not doing much, if this is the category you're in, and just trying to do your best day to day interacting with people. And for these types of people, this is going to be a slow path, and it will probably take you a fair few lifetimes. Perfectly fine if you want to take that risk. There's another way, and it's extremely slow, and it's essentially just to have a nice death. Basically, the Indians would believe that perhaps they could just go to Varanasi, have a sacred burial or a sacred burning in a sense, and that would be enough. And what I would say to their path is, whilst I respect you, let's see what happens. I'm not taking that risk. Because there's a third type of person that recognizes, perhaps because they're dead curious inside, they have to get an understanding of whatever's going on inside of themselves now. And these people should definitely access some sadhana. We have sadhana on our channel down below that you can access should you wish. Some of them are free, some of them are paid. And why this is important for this type of person is because they tend to have some form of something to give to life, be that in the way of a purpose-based life and service to others. That will likely turn into some form of business to earn you money, which is of course really helpful. It's not the be and end all, but of course we all need money to survive, and that's natural. So when it comes to creating and earning your destiny, in a way, sadhana is going to be the most successful vehicle through which you can do that. The reason is sadhana will enliven your energies. Now, of course, when you enliven your energies, not only can you become more aware of your tendencies karmically, you also become more conscious around them. And you have a nice buffer of feeling inside of yourself in which there's a little bit of distance between you and these sticky karmic tendencies. This is the power of sadhana, but not only that. With more energy in the system, you are going to attract, probably, most likely, better circumstances from life. And the reason is because your energetics will be shifting the trajectory and the potential of where your life can go through the people, places and experiences that you begin attracting into yourself that will dive deeper into who you are and begin to allow you to see more deeply the karmic tendencies that are going on inside of your system, so that you can free yourself from them, so that you can be a free being in this life, so that you can serve people not from tendencies but from purity. And then of course that's the best way to be able to serve people. Obviously, sadhana will also clear these karmic debts that we have too, and it will also lessen the blow of Big Mama Karma when she comes round and gives us that little slap that we all have earned ourselves through our actions. And believe me, some of them can really hurt, but if we're doing our sadhana, it will lessen the blow of that. I guarantee that for you. Good. I hope this video helps you. Lots of love then. Namaste. If this video interested you, then I know that you're interested in this topic, and I've created another video that you can watch here. This is about the ending of karmic cycles.